Welcome back. I'm Dennis.
I'm Lacey. Welcome back to our YouTube channel, The Becoming of Whispers of Eternity. If you are here because you are just supporting us and we're just getting to know each other, please do us the huge favor of liking and subscribing to our channel. It really does bless us, and I promise you, we're going to get better at this. The first videos are the worst videos. I think I've read that a couple of times, so I promise it's going to get better. Today, we're going to go over some of our background. Honestly, most of you that are watching right now are already friends and family members, and we haven't always been very open about some of the Alzheimer's stuff that we've been experiencing with my mom. That's Wendy Kurtula. And so we're going to kind of dive into that and talk about that.
Yeah, it's a part of our journey, though it's a difficult part of our journey. It has inspired a bunch of songs, and a lot of our current material is based upon that journey because we've been doing fundraisers and things like that. And so that's our passion right now. And so we'll be diving deeper into that as we go.
But first, we want to let you know something that's coming. In 2 weeks, on Monday, September the 9th, we're going to conduct our very first interview right here for all of you. We're going to be introducing you to a very good friend of ours, and his name is Mr. Joe Beck.
Joe is an amazing guy. He's been a friend of mine for probably 25 years or so. He's a hit songwriter. He's written 65 #1 songs. Amazing. And he's been a staff writer with a number of different publishing companies here in Nashville. He has over 650 cuts on all different types of genres, everything from adult contemporary to, the rock, inspirational, southern gospel, country, even black gospel. I mean, he's just a songwriter's songwriter when it comes to that.
Yeah, he's contributed to 6 Grammy-nominated projects. He's had 12 Dove Award nominations. He's performed really honestly with some of the top names in music. Oh, and he's also produced over 50 albums. How could I not mention that?
Joe is a very accomplished guy, and we're happy to have him as our very first guest. It's going to be amazing. He was also the head of publishing for the Spring Hill Music Group, which was owned by Bill Gaither. And while he was the head of that publishing group, he started the Spring Hill Worship Label.
Yeah, and then he and another really good friend of ours, Billy Sprague, who I think we're eventually going to get to interview him as well, along with Gary Glover and Mike Blanton, have started a new venture, and it's called the Songwriting University.
Yeah, Songwriting University is really a great concept. It was something that Joe kind of came up with, and others have sort of joined him in the journey. But the premise behind it is that there are all these seasoned songwriters that have so much experience, that have #1s and cuts on everybody's records, and have done so much that they want to give some of that or mentor some other songwriters that are developing songwriters. And so they pair up people that have been hit songwriters with fledgling new songwriters that are coming up in an effort to really develop some new talent.
Yeah, so we're really excited to have him on in 2 weeks, and we hope that you'll come back and watch that interview, because man, he's a lot of fun to get to know.
Yeah, he's been a friend for a long time. All right, this is Dennis. I just got done working out. This is what I look like when I work out. I thought I would show you a new magic trick that I just learned. So, here we go. Ready?
Oh boy, I wish I would have read the rest of the book. I'm not sure how to undo this.
So we're going to go ahead and get into Alzheimer's and this disease that has so shaped our beginnings and really our journey.
Yeah, this all started, and it's a little bit difficult to pin down exactly when it started. it's probably been about 7 or 8 years ago that we started noticing little hints that there was something going wrong. And Wendy started forgetting, where she would put things, or she would put things away in weird places, or she lost her wedding ring a number of times. And so the early indications were really kind of forgetfulness and not being able to find her words, and just a lot of forgetfulness, which can be, it can be attributed to age.
All of us forget things sometimes, but this was a whole different level of forgetting.
Yeah, I mean, I personally, I have a terrible time with names at times, and I think you share that same.
Oh my gosh, if I ever
malady.
meet you, please give me some grace. I'm terrible with names.
And so it was hard to see what was going on with that. But then at some point it started to progress further where, she had a couple of car accidents, just minor fender bender kinds of things. And to be honest, her mom was dealing with Alzheimer's at that time as well. And so we were aware of some of those progressive signs that were going on. And in 2013, we went into a doctor in Nashville associated with Baptist Hospital. No, it was associated with Vanderbilt. Mm-hmm. And Dr. Solomon. And we went through a cognitive test, which indicated that she had Alzheimer's. And I remember the day that indication, or that the diagnosis came to us. He still wanted to do some additional tests because, just a cognitive exam is not really enough to pin it down to early onset Alzheimer's. And so they did a spinal tap and they found the protein, and whew, boy, it was a very, very hard day. It was a day that you wish never would come in your lifetime. And then almost immediately after that, they took away her driver's license, and it's been a process of the disease just taking elements of my beautiful wife, who I love, and requiring more of me in the process, and of our family in the process. So I think we're gonna do a video next of, and I'll let Lacey kind of explain that.
So what you're gonna see next is a video that was actually recorded in 2016, which is 3 years ago. And in this video, you and Mom are actually together and talking about Alzheimer's at that point in their lives. So it's kind of a snapshot of the past. And at that time, my mother was so capable of having small conversations. She was very verbal and functional, and was aware of her space in where she was in a place, and she knew about her relationship with Dad. And so us looking at this video honestly is a little heartbreaking, because we no longer have this version of her anymore, and so it's a little bit bittersweet, I guess, to look back at it. But it's important for you to see where she used to be, and to know that she is no longer there. She's not capable of talking, of eating, of walking, of knowing who anybody is, and probably doesn't even really know who she is. But that's what you're going to see.
We're on. Alzheimer's. It's a pretty scary word, pretty scary disease. Something that we've become very familiar with over the course of the last few years. To all of you who love us, we've been dealing with that with Wendy for probably, several years, about 2.5 years that we're diagnosed. And, we do our best to deal with it on a day-to-day basis. The first time you hear that word is a very hard day. And we've learned how to cope with some very hard days in between there. But we've had a lot of really good days. A lot of really good times together. A lot of very special days. And we've learned how to capture each day for all that it is and for the gift that it is to us. And the one thing about having Alzheimer's is, you know, it kind of punctuates today. It kind of puts a exclamation point on each day, because you don't know how many days you're going to get. And I guess really we don't know how many days we're going to get anyway.
Well, tonight or...
Yeah, there's lots and lots of times when it's difficult. But the fact is, you know, life is fatal for all of us. And we don't know how many days we get. So we want to make the best of each day. And the thing that Alzheimer's has done in our situation is that it's really drawn us close together. We've really become more of a couple, and more inseparable. It's hard to go to work in the morning sometimes. It's wonderful to come home at night. It's wonderful to be together on the weekends. And that's the blessing that's come from that, is the closeness that we have. You know, we spend a lot more time together. We spend a lot more quality time together because of the disease. So that's really kind of a blessing. I'm not saying that the disease is a blessing. It's very scary. But the thing to remember in all of this is, and that we found, is that you're not alone. You don't have to walk through this by yourself. There are people around you. There are people that love you. There are people that care about you. There's help out there. And we're learning how to accept help. And that's been a difficult process for us. I wrote a song for Wendy for Valentine's Day this year, just a few weeks ago, and it's called what is it called? I signed up for this. I got memory issues too. It's called I Signed Up for This, and it's a song of love to my wife for Valentine's Day. Hopefully it's a blessing to you. We would love for it to do good for a lot of people, and touch a lot of people's hearts. So enjoy.
I love you.
Who would have thought that we would come this far, with so many ways we could break each other's hearts? And who would have thought through all our ups and downs that we would find the kind of love that we have found? From newborn babies in our house to growing up and moving out and having babies of their own who want to wrestle on the couch. I signed up for this with that first kiss, when the preacher asked me if I knew I did. I signed up for this, and I would do it all again. A love like ours is worth the joy and making new ones every day. I signed up for this with that first kiss. When the preacher asked me if I knew, I did. I signed up for this, and I would do it all again. A love like ours is worth the joy and pain. Yeah, I signed up for this. We've seen better, we've seen worse. We've been richer and been poorer. Yeah, in sickness and in health, our love remains. And when our time on earth is done and our love song's finally over, I won't regret loving you the way I do today. No way. I signed up for this with that first kiss. When the preacher asked me if I do, I really did. I signed up for this, and I would do it all again. A love like ours is worth the joy and pain. I signed up for this. I signed up for this. I love you, Wendy.
So that was 2016, and here we are today.
Yeah, it's been a long and kind of difficult journey when it comes to the disease and watching it progress. And as I said before, it just keeps taking away and taking away and taking away. There came a point. I was actually working for a company in Nashville at the time, but there came a point where Wendy fell down a flight of stairs and broke a table at the bottom of the stairs in our house. And it started to become obvious that it was not safe for her to be here by herself. And my desire to be with her really sort of continued to grow and grow to the point where I really couldn't maintain working as a senior executive at this company. And so I was given a severance package and all of that, and was able to sort of restart my construction business with Wendy coming to the sites to work with me. And that worked for a period of time, but somewhere along the way, even in that, she started wandering off, and I wouldn't know where she was. She would disappear from a job site, and there was one point where she was gone for a good 30 or 45 minutes, and I searched for her. And then her level of combativeness, and with this disease, it's a very unkind disease to the person that's experiencing it, in that it also takes away the knowledge of body function and things like that, and it makes it very, very difficult. So it got to the point where I was bathing her, and I was having to change her, and I mean and she grew combative in the process of that. And then as it even progressed further, she got to the point where she would argue with the person that was in the mirror. And I think in her mind, because Alzheimer's sort of erases the memory from current backwards, I think she was at a stage where she thought she was a much younger person, and she would look in the mirror and see an older person and not understand. And so she would have arguments with this person in the mirror. And one day she was at the point where I would have to, grind up her medication and give it to her in a shake in the morning. Well, she drank her shake and got angry with the person in the mirror and broke the glass against the mirror, and cut herself pretty badly, and was bleeding. And we ended up, I had to get a hold of Lacey actually, and we had to rush her to the hospital. And in the hospital they said, well, what nursing facility is she at now? And I said, no, we're taking care of her. We're going to do this from our house all the way through. And they just looked at me and said, that is just not safe. Where you can toddler-proof a house, it's very difficult to adult-proof a house. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't getting much sleep, and it was almost impossible on job sites and all of that. And so we did get to the point where we began to start looking at nursing homes. Well, in nursing homes in Tennessee anyway, for somebody who has Alzheimer's that is in a combative state, there aren't many facilities that will accept them. And the closest facility was in Palmyra, Tennessee, Palmyra Nursing and Rehabilitation Center in Palmyra, which is 90 minutes away from my house. And the next nearest was over in East Tennessee, which was about 6 hours away. And so we made the choice that she would move to Palmyra essentially, and that I would visit her every day. And I have done that for the last 18 months. I've driven to her every single day. We just celebrated our anniversary a couple of days ago, 38 years together. And she has no idea who I am anymore. She's just at that stage where it's kind of the last stage. And so that's kind of the effect on me has been pretty dramatic in that it's a painful process. Often feels like a failure that I had to put her into a nursing facility, and I've had to come to terms with that, and that's the best place for her care, and it's the best thing for her. It wasn't the best thing for me in the sense that I wanted my wife with me, but it was the best thing for Wendy. And so, it was an incredibly difficult day, the day that I drove to my house and realized that she was never coming home. And there's been plenty of difficult days. That would be one of the spikes. And I've been very fortunate to have a lot of family and friends close by to help out with all of that and to sort of talk me off of the ledge at times. But it's had some pretty dramatic effects on me in that regard, but it's also deepened a sense of faith in me that would not have come about any other way. The Bible is the place that I've gone through this journey to find encouragement and strength. And the passage of Scripture actually that stands out to me today comes from Philippians chapter 4, verse 13, which says, I can do everything through him who gives me strength.
And it's been honestly very difficult to watch. I mean, as the daughter or the child of somebody who has Alzheimer's, it affects me less because I, didn't commit my life to her intentionally. I was born into a family and do life right alongside you guys just because that's what family does. But I mean, it still does affect the children of people who have Alzheimer's too, where you're right at the battlefront, helping and assisting and caring and, taking care of everything that, a household is run on all by yourself. The children of Alzheimer's are left without a stage of growing up with parents that are older and the kind of conversations that happen in your adulthood. I have 3 children now, and some of the stuff that I walk through right now, most people would be able to walk through alongside a more experienced mom and be able to ask questions and seek advice. And my dad is a great source of advice, so I don't feel like I don't get that. But there's something different that you would get from a mom in some of those seasons, and it's a little hard. to not have that. So, we miss out on the opportunities to re-experience our own childhoods and apologize for the craziness that we created, because now our children are creating the same craziness and we realize it. And it's been difficult on me and on my sister. We have one other family member, my younger sister, lives in California and has an amazing career in designing shoes and clothes right now. And it keeps her from being able to be very close and hands-on as we deal with Alzheimer's and all of the effects that it creates in a household. But she is as affected, if not more, because she can't be present, and I'm sure, I can't speak for her, but I'm sure that's not easy. It's affected all of us, and honestly, you guys are a part of the healing. We've had a lot of friends and a lot of family members and church members and just people that have reached out and continue to provide support and encouragement and prayers and remind us that we're not alone. And we so appreciate every one of you that has blessed us either with your time or with prayers or with the help financially to keep our heads above water, because sometimes it's just very difficult to take care of all the needs and pay for gas to go out to Palmyra every single day and keep all of the bills paid.
Yeah, I mean, I calculated it just a little while back, and I think I've traveled over 80,000 miles over the course of the last 18 months, and spent, it's usually around $750 a month in fuel just to get my truck back and forth, and 6 hours of my day every single day. So it limits the amount of time that I can work and do the things that I need to do to keep my household. So without some of that support, it would have just been disastrous for me. And so thank you
so much. So we've got a lot of heavy content today. I know what we're talking about is difficult to hear, and it's not a lot of fun to talk about, to be honest. So why are we doing it in front of you? Well, we know we're not the only people who are experiencing hardship right now. And while there are really great moments in life, and we plan on sharing those with you as well, we're okay with sharing some of the harder moments.
Yeah, the journey itself is universal to millions and millions of people that are dealing with this disease and other diseases. It's not just Alzheimer's, cancers, and all kinds of other stuff that is just difficult to walk through. And we hope to be at least a light at times in this darkness of this journey, to let you know that you're not alone, and that there are others that are dealing with it as well, and still deepening in their faith and still trusting in God and knowing that He loves us and cares about us. And so we hope that you'll see that as we go through the process.
And we might not know your stories yet. We hope that you'll tell us some of your stories as we continue to grow as a channel, and that we can talk about ways we can best support each other, because I'm sure there are ways that we haven't thought of. We're just not that smart, I promise. So we were planning on discussing some details of a songwriting challenge. Remember, I talked about that, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And detail number one is we need a good 500 subscribers before we can start this game, because it's not going to be a lot of fun for all of us to write a song together and come up with great ideas and creative thoughts when there's only like 2 of us talking about it. So we need 500 subscribers before we're going to start this challenge. So help us get there. Tell your friends about our channel. Again, I know the first videos are the worst videos. Please give us a little grace. We're going to try really hard to get better. Tell us how we can be better. Give us your comments, because we haven't even gotten like one comment yet, which is fine. It's okay. Give us some good, creative, positive ideas on how we can get better.
Or even negative. Either is fine.
I'm sure we'll be fine with the negativity. It's okay. What do they call that? Constructive criticism.
Yes.
Give us some constructive criticism. Post some ideas on how we can improve, and if, we need to have better outfits, or we know some of the sound can be a little bit funky. We're figuring out how to take the echo out of this room, so we're working on that. But tell us your thoughts. So as we come to a close, we want to thank you again for showing up, for being here with us, for listening to the hard stuff, and hopefully for being around for some really exciting moments. We thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts for joining us on this journey, and we bless you and all that you do as you are becoming who God intended you to be.
I agree. Don't forget about Joe Beck in 2 weeks on September 9th, Monday, September 9th. That's going to be an amazing show.
Have a great week.
See ya.
Bye, guys.